All right. So look, Black opinionated woman, also known as a bow. I'm going to try to keep this to about 5 minutes ish. I am TikToking and I'm also on YouTube, I guess Facebook and something else, Twitter maybe. So look, I just want to like circle back for a second to this John Morant thing, which I find kind of it's like weird. I don't really care about the dude, but the whole situation surrounding thug life culture, this rap culture, this is the thing. Yesterday I was talking about our music is a hot mess, right? I honestly believe rap culture, this music is contributing to a lot of the ding dongery. People say that music doesn't contribute to violence, and I beg to differ. Yesterday, I said that, music invokes some sort of emotion. There's a reason why when you go to the spa, they play like low level music. There's a reason why when you are if you're in a church or something, there's certain music that they want to get you hyped, and there's certain music when they want to get you in that spirit of worship. They tone you down. If you're going to go work out, you tend to play certain types of music to get you motivated, to get your blood pumping, right? And so the thing I wanted to say first, before I just make my short little point, is music um, does a lot. It affects your mood. Yesterday, I brought up the Office of Justice or whatever day it was, and he was talking about rap culture, rap music, that type of thing. So, a lot of people don't like when I say these things, and you are allowed not to like it. But what I will say is, oh, okay, look, I just want to say for the record, I don't know what's going on. I'm new to this whole TikToking live thing. So, I'm going to thank everybody who's sending me roses and stuff. I don't know what it means yet, but I will look it up today. But getting back to my point, music does something. All this crazy rap culture stuff does something, and you don't have to like it. But there's a reason why people think it's okay to brandish weapons, right? There's a reason why we can go to a concert and we play certain music and say, "Come on, everybody, make some noise," right? And people get all high, because I know I do. I know I'm like, "Ah, it's my jam!" Like right here. So what I'm saying is, I just have a couple of notes. Rap culture glorifies thug life. That's why I say I'm not part of this whacked out weirdo culture. I'm part of the community, not part of the whacked out weirdo culture. This is a whacked out weirdo culture that glorifies bad stuff. So, anyway, there's a reason why, because we have such bad culture in the Black community right now that seems to be pedestalized, there's a reason why you can get somebody like John Morant, who grew up with parents and everything, or from what I hear, even Drake. Like, you got people who are like, I'm about that thug life. I think, in my opinion, it's just my opinion. Okay, now look, don't get mad at me. It's just my opinion. I think if you take out John Morant and maybe even a Drake or whatever, this is the thing. A lot of people, I think, associate thug life with being tough, with being masculine. And because the community at large, I would say writ large actually, because there's so much going on in the community, it has no idea of how to create positive culture. That is what young boys, I'm calling them boys, that's what they're associating as manhood because it hasn't been taught. So to them, it's like it's all about my respect and shenanigans. Let me just tell you for the record, I am not a tough gal. Let me tell you something. I have a black belt in martial arts and all kinds of stuff. And if somebody wants to put their hands on me, first of all, I'm not even trying to fight anybody. The first thing I'm going to try to do is flee. The second thing is if somebody puts their hands on me, if it's in public, I'm falling all the way out. I'm not that tough. I don't want to fight. In private, it might be a different story. I might have something for you. But in public, I'm falling the F out. I'm not that tough. I don't glorify that kind of stuff. I don't care about that kind of stuff. These young men have a misguided sense of what manhood looks like. And now I can't speak to manhood, right? I'm not a man. I'm just on the outside looking in, just like I wouldn't really want men speaking on womanhood, okay? But what I will say is this music, this brandishing of weapons, this glorification of being over sexualized and all other stuff, even the way we will take a racial slur and own it now. Like we talk down about ourselves, we call the women bees and hoes, we call ourselves in bombs, and then we find ways of co-signing the bad behavior. We find ways of co-signing it. And we're like, yeah, yeah, I can say it, you just can't say it. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's a misguided sense of what I think manhood represents. I'm just calling a thing a thing. You literally have John Morant, who was willing to surrender. It's not even just the money; it's influence. It's the ability to be a role model. Well, I guess that's part of being influential, right? It's just so much that he's willing to surrender because I think he has low self-esteem. When you are willing to go and do any and everything just to belong to some sort of whacked out weirdo group, and you've got your friends who are your so-called friends who are willing to continue to gaslight you, yo man, I wouldn't do this, or I don't know what they're saying, but it clearly isn't good. He is willing to be in the gutter, meaning he is willing to engage in shenanigans just so he can be part of, because clearly he doesn't have enough self-love or something for himself. This whacked out weirdo culture is giving these men this fake idea of what manhood is. So I think people like this degenerate culture because I think it gives people a license to not be accountable. It gives people a license to indulge in anything and everything. It gives people the license to just not be accountable, do what you want to do. That it is what it is. So this is the reason why I keep talking about it's just bad culture. It's trash culture. So like I said, I'm part of the community because I am black. Like I can't get rid of that. I can't get rid of my blackness. I don't want to get rid of my blackness. But I don't associate myself with that whacked out weirdo culture. And the same thing goes for the women, but right now we're leaning in on John Morant, right? I don't associate with the whacked out weirdo culture of thinking that it's okay to just go out in public and twerk for everybody and bend over for people. Like it's like crazy. And they will say, "Oh, I'm in charge of my femininity is my body." I'm like, that's what you want to teach? That's what we're doing? That's the standard we have for ourselves? Anyway, we have no guidance. We have no guidance in this community. Look, y'all do whatever you want. That's not what I'm teaching my boys. And if I think that my daughter is trying to bend over, I'm going to snatch her up so quick. Look, I can't control her as an adult, but my kids were not taught that. That's not what we're teaching in this house. And I think that the reason why people gravitate towards this bad rap culture is because I think it gives license to talk down to each other, to talk bad about each other, to treat each other as the only thing that's worthy about ourselves is our sexuality, and it allows us to use violence as a way of coping. And I would also say abusing drugs and alcohol is a way of coping. That's it. I said what I have to say. Y'all can be mad. Greetings, Queen. Hey, what's going on over there? I see you guys. I'm so bad at this. I don't know how to work all this. Um, I like this, Mr. E. I appreciate Levon De Artis. Is that how you pronounce it? But yes, you can control as an adult. Yes, you can. My mother used to always say, whatever happened to you when you were a child, that's not your fault. But you do have a responsibility for yourself when you get older. As messed up as your childhood is, but at what point do you have the responsibility to say, hey, I'm going to govern myself like this? I'm going to seek the help that I need. I'm going to do the work to heal for myself. I'm telling you, this is some whacked out weirdo culture. That's why everybody has a well, listen to mine because I'm amazing. But that's why everybody has a podcast and a channel of some sorts, right? Because it's becoming like these verbal manifestos. Everybody thinks a manifesto is just, somebody types up some like "I hate you" kind of like situation, and then hold on, this is a reminder. My Alexa's. Put your clothes in the dryer. Alexa, stop. So look, this is the thing, all these podcasters are out here creating these whacked out weirdo like manifestos because they can get out here, say the same thing over and over, trigger everyone, and then what happens is everyone gets triggered, and then they're like, yeah, F them, this, that, and the other, the men and women, divest, do all that. And I understand why women say it. I'm not saying that I would necessarily co-sign it, but I understand why women say it. The point I'm getting at is there's a reason why we have people out here on these platforms triggering everyone, saying this crazy stuff. You're saying it's just propaganda. Most folks don't behave like the stuff on TV. I agree with you, but you know what's happening? This is the thing. More and more people are getting on social media. They're getting on YouTube and TikTok and all these things. And that's where a lot of the youth live. And so what happens is the people who have an established presence on here, they know where to target everyone. And you don't have to fact check anything. So they're getting out here. He said, remind me to talk to you about art. The people get out here and they don't have to fact check anything and they can say and do anything. And because we're all lazy, we take everything lock, stock, and barrel. So they know how to get on these apps and target people. You got to understand, a lot of people do not engage in any sort of critical thinking or extemporaneous speaking. So you can tell them anything. And a person who has no cause or no anything, you can give them their cause. Why do you think we have so many jihadists in the Middle East? If you section off something, if you have a way of getting in their ear and you're proliferating their ear, like you're just bombarding their ears with all of these jacked up messages, right? And you say it over and over and over, it becomes basically like you're speaking the manifesto into them. That's what's happening on all these apps too. Anyway, I digress. The point is, we got this whacked out weirdo culture with all these weirdo people out here, and especially in rap culture, saying this crazy stuff. And then you get a dingling like John Morant, who could care less about not just how he can just totally help his family with so much generational wealth, but it's the influence, it's the access to other people that can show you how to do bigger and better things. You never know what he would do with his mind, the businesses he can start, the influence he can have, the change he could make. But instead, he's too busy chasing after some dom-doms, going to clubs, waving stuff, showing like vagina juice. I don't know. I'm like, this is what we're doing. Instead of taking that mind and saying, let me show you how to grow this, let me show you how to work this, let me show you how to build your own infrastructure. Let me say this and I'll go. This is the kind of thing that bugged me about Kanye. Kanye was out there preaching and praising himself for being a billionaire, right? But he was such a dum-dum. I'm like, they can show you better than they can tell you. That not only did they say we're going to take away our partnership, they said your money isn't even good enough in our banks. While he was sitting there bragging about being a millionaire, he didn't take that money and build his own infrastructure. So he was even getting banned from social media. He could have built his own social media platform or his own foundational thing for sneakers or something or whatever it was he was into, or his own anything. But instead, he was using everybody else's everything. We're so short-sighted. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is John Morant could have been a brilliant mind, and he still can be. But instead, he would rather chase after people who don't care about him, people who don't even matter at this point. It doesn't, I'm done. I'm done. I'm just kind of like, and so what they're going to do is they're going to suspend him. And let me tell you something, I think he should be suspended. There has to be consequences. And before anybody get out here and say, like, oh, if this was a white guy, I'm like, but he's not white. You knew it for what it was. You had an opportunity. They were giving you sponsorship deals. There's so much that they wanted to do with this young man. And he chose everything else because his self-esteem is so low and he wants to be accepted so bad by people who don't even matter. All right, so look, I got to get my son ready for his basketball practice, and I'm meeting my neighbor for some adult libation in about an hour. You hear my thing coming in? So I will try to get on tomorrow. I'm trying to get used to this ticking and talking. I need to read up on this. Kanye was brilliant. His brand made more money, not less. He had no middleman. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's the thing that we're not. He said, oh, LOL, you're totally awesome. We really should talk, Your Majesty. Thank you. Let me tell you something. The middleman was Adidas, aka Adidas. The middleman was the bank. The middleman was social media because he used everyone else's infrastructure. And then when he showed his hind parts, what they did was they said, we can silence you. Right? They said, your money isn't even good enough to be in our banks. Take your money out of our bank. Yeah, they did. They were like, you know what? We're not going to let you use our manufacturing equipment or whatever it is to make your goods. We're not going to even lend our name as part of the partnership. So yeah, you made money and you made us money, but you know what? We're going to make money after you. So yeah, all of these companies, they were like, yeah, they were the middleman. They were like, if we can take everything from you, and now you no longer have billionaire status because it's all about his ego. He was a full-on clown. He didn't take that and build his infrastructure. They needed him. He didn't need Adidas, and now they have to pay him hundreds of millions. And hundreds of millions are nothing for a company like that. Adidas was already Adidas before they really pushed hard into the American market. I remember when Adidas really, really started getting on the stock market, and I forgot what their symbol was. There was two different symbols. I think it was AADDY, AADY, whatever it was. And I remember when they started, I forgot which class stock it was, and I remember I bought it, because remember, I lived over in Europe for a period of time. Adidas was very popular over there, like Nike is over here. I want to make this clear. See, a lot of Americans, sometimes we get caught up in like, oh, we're this, that, and the other Nike. I'm like, you do understand Adidas was Adidas in Europe. Okay. They came over here and they said, we're going to start like pushing more. We want to get more of this American market. I'm just calling a thing a thing. So all I'm saying was everybody's thinking like, oh, they needed him. You see how they let go of Beyonce so quick too. She wasn't bringing in any money. They have other stars over there. Their biggest stars are the soccers. You see, I can't type fast. I'm old. Let me tell you something. They have soccer. They have soccer fans over there. Their soccer, just their soccer outfits. Soccer is big over there, or they call it football over there. So I just want to call a thing a thing. He thought that, oh, I'm Kanye. They're like, oh, well, yeah, well, we'll leverage this American market, but let's be clear, like you're just Kanye. And he thought like, oh, well, they're gonna lose out on me. You know how many people are willing to come in that space? Adidas is truly international, and their biggest sport is soccer. So, you ever heard of fan base, the black owned app? Nope. But whoever owns it needs to do a better job promoting it. This is the first time I've heard of fan base, the black owned app. So look, it's 5:17. I gotta get him on the road. Look, I need to leave out here by 5:13. I need to go yell at him because he probably didn't make his water and get his bag packed. I gotta go parent. But I'll say this: Morant needs to think about who he's surrounding himself with. Hey, don't come on here. I'm going to be live. You can walk around the back, okay? He is a ding-a-ling, and he could have used this brilliant mind to grow the sport, which is growing internationally. He could have used his brilliant mind to do so much. You're talking about 230 something in millions in NBA money. That's just the start. That's just the start. We're not going to talk about the endorsements. We're not going to talk about whatever he decides to come up with. But anyway, no, I'm not taking any invites because I'm getting ready to leave. So, but look, I saw decline that. Hey, I see a Levon Day Artis fan base is owned by Isaac Hayes the third, and John needs some girlfriend. John. Who's John? Are you talking about John Morant? Who's John? If you're talking about John Morant, let me just say this. John Morant needs no girlfriend right now. What he needs is to be introspective and go do some healing. That's what he needs. He doesn't need a girlfriend. He can't even govern himself. What does he need to do with a girlfriend? He has a child that he can't even be a good representation for because he wants to go out to strip clubs and wave, shoot 'em ups in the air or whatever. He doesn't need a girlfriend right now. He needs to focus on like, what am I doing? What is my purpose? Where am I trying to go? What do I want for my child? And I think the best thing he needs to do is just to give me some of his millions, right? Because he can make smart decisions. I'll hold on to your money. Clearly, he's really good at making smart decisions, right? All right, let me get out of here. Hey, tell your brother it's time to go. All right, let me go be a parent. You guys have a good one. I'll try to get on tomorrow. Thanks for joining in.